Welcome in on this Wednesday. We've got a great lineup for you this time, and as always, we are so happy that you are here. As we come on the air today, the elevator at the Washington Monument is back up and running. But tourists who needed it yesterday were out of luck. Not the first time the National Park Service has had to call in repair crews to help tourists enjoy one of D.C.'s iconic attractions. Congresswoman Holmes Norton represents the District of Columbia in the U.S. House. Joins us now. Good to see you. Welcome back.
Good morning, Bruce.
You have been riding the Park Service, I think it's fair to say, pun intended, pretty hard on this elevator issue. People who come to town, and for some it's their one shot to be here and to enjoy as much of Washington as they can get into the time they have. To get there and find the Washington Monument elevator out of service, of course, malfunctions will occur, but it's got to be a big disappointment. What's going on there?
Really unacceptable, because it's the fifth malfunction since the elevator was rehabilitated. Well, this one deserved a call straight to the mall superintendent. And I did have a very good conversation with her. I said, you got to get to the bottom of this. We're talking about the cherry blossoms. Can we expect that when the cherry blossoms come, when holidays come and we have tourists, that's when we can expect the elevator to go down? I think maybe she may have understood that simply renovating the elevator was not enough. They did not renovate the contraption that controls the movements up and down of the elevator. It's one thing to take the elevator, you got a nice new elevator to get in. What about how it moves up and down? That's 20 years old. That was not renovated. So what they're doing now, she tells me, is, in fact, she says she has now gotten an internal, she calls an internal grant from the Park Service itself. I think they're going to replace this 20-year-old control system that essentially controls or makes the elevator go up and down or not. And as I told her, I'm concerned not only for what it does for tourist season, but suppose there had been a group of seniors up there. Suppose there had been disabled people. Well, actually, they would have gotten them down. But imagine what it would have taken to get them down. They can walk down. In fact, I'm not sure how they would have gotten them down. But they would have found a way.
And for some people, anxiety is a real concern. You just,
Please.
The mind starts to run.
Please. And if the elevator continues to go down, there will be people who say, you know, I was going to go to Washington, but the elevator is off and down. Maybe we won't go this time. Look, it's a lot of revenue for the District of Columbia and by the region, by the way, for the region as well. So it really hurts our economy. It hurts the reputation of the monument, and it is unnecessary and unacceptable. I think they may have gotten control of it for the first time by understanding that you've got to renovate the whole contraption when there has been, remember, this follows the earthquake.
And you'll be continuing to monitor this very closely, I suspect, because, as I said a moment ago, there's so much to enjoy here, and time is often limited, whether you're here for a week, a long weekend, whatever it is, to make the time and effort to get someplace and then find that essentially the door is closed is something that people will find unfortunate.
Bruce, as much as we like to think, oh, people come to see their member of Congress, they come to go to the monument. If you can't go to see the highest point in Washington, look at the rest of the city, maybe you won't come at all.
Speaking of making sure that things are in good repair, what thoughts did you have about the remarkable and unusual decision of Metro to say, we're going to get you home tonight? This was a couple weeks ago, of course. We're going to get you home tonight, but we're shutting down, and we're going to stay shut down for 24 hours. We're going to swoop in, do emergency inspections, repairs as needed, and then we're going to, we think, reopen. It ended up being Thursday, so they announced on Tuesday, got people home. Wednesday was shut down. Thursday reopened. Extraordinary. Never happened here before in 40 years of Metro. Reporters who cover transit say they can't find an instance where this happened at another major transit agency. Some inconvenience, you could say significant inconvenience, but was it the right call given safety concerns?
Whenever there's safety concerns, nobody should second guess that call. And by the way, they showed us on television, I'm sure Channel 8 had it, that they actually found really very serious problems. Yesterday I went to a celebration, very muted, of the 40th anniversary of Metro. They understand what they're up against. And what they're up against is a loss.
In other words, this is no time to be popping champagne corks.
Precisely. And very, in a very a kind of humble almost celebration. They got a new GM, general manager. When he made that call, we were very disappointed, but on second thought, we found, look, we just lost one woman from smoke in the metro. Well, let him do his job. He was doing his job. But Metro has lost 5% of its ridership in the last 5 years. Now, some of that may be because of cheap gas, but let's face it, a lot of it is because of the unreliability of the service and because of continuing loss of confidence in Metro. We can't afford that. This is the second largest metro in the United States. More people depend upon it, especially federal workers, than any other mode of transportation here. Some of us in the Congress are trying to get the federal government, wish us luck, to kick in on the expenses, operating expenses of Metro, the same way that Maryland, Virginia, and D.C. do, on the theory, now proven several times, that when Metro closes down, the entire federal government in this region has to close down.
Talk about the use of federal dollars and the concern that I learned about from your office about money that I'm sure your colleagues think is going for new equipment and maintenance and may instead partially be going for debt service?
Well, that's not quite it.
Okay, tell me.
What is happening is almost as serious. For the first time in the 40 years of Metro, Metro is borrowing not in the way that we all borrow for capital expenses, for infrastructure, to fix what's wrong with Metro. Operating expenses. Now, what they're doing with debt, instead of using money for purposes not authorized to pay debt service, they are rolling over the debt. So it's piled up to now $500 million. So what I've asked for, I've spoken to the leader of our delegation, Steny Hoyer, and asked that if he would call a meeting, a regional meeting of all the House members, so that we can come to grips with what is happening to Metro before perhaps it's too late. A business that has to borrow just to operate is usually a business that's going out of business. So we have got to find out what is happening with Metro and quick.
Did Metro do the sorts of repairs and inspections after the L'Enfant incident in January of 2015 that it should have done? In other words, if they had recognized the seriousness of an apparent system-wide issue 15 months ago, would we be in a better position today, and would the incident much more recently that luckily occurred at the very beginning of the rush hour and perhaps other incidents as well have been avoided?
That is the most important question, and here is the answer. And we know it is the answer. No, they did not take that incident in 2015 and say, what should we be doing now? The reason we know it is that the general manager now has ordered monthly inspections. Bruce, that's known as preventative maintenance. The Metro has not been doing, apparently, preventative maintenance, or else we would not have been shown on television the reasons for the shutdown, that there were parts of Metro that were very seriously in disarray. That would have been discovered, and perhaps there would not have needed to be a shutdown.
If there are high-level people at Metro now who were there then and who are responsible for what I think I can describe fairly as a failure from your perspective, should Metro look at those people and say, we can do better?
Well, we know they're looking at those people because a safety officer has resigned, I think, just within the last week or so. So it does look like he's bringing his own people and having a changing of the guard.
Talking about the Washington Monument control system, 20 years old, talking about Metro, which so many of us, like to point to with pride and need to rely on for everything. And This morning, coming to work on the Roosevelt Bridge, there's been a lot of focus, of course, on the Memorial Bridge, but coming to work today and looking at the curb area and the sidewalk on the Roosevelt Bridge, and one is able to see, I think it's called the rebar, the steel that is in the concrete that is not supposed to be visible because it's an internal strengthening structure, right? And so much of the concrete has worn down in multiple areas that as you drive by, you're treated to a tour of rusty steel. I was reminded of a trip I took years ago to the Soviet Union, which was notoriously a malfunctioning nation and crumbling. I mean, new buildings, you would go up a set of steps and they would deteriorate under your feet because they were made in such a shoddy manner. Are we becoming the Soviet Union?
Well, first of all, I'm so pleased you're reporting this Roosevelt problem, because I've not heard about that problem before. I am one of the 4 leaders of the Transportation Infrastructure Committee. We got the first long-term transportation bill out in 10 years. But guess what? There was not a dime's increase from 10 years ago. So we're having a hard time putting together the money for the Arlington Bridge, which we're told is truly falling down. And now you tell me you can see that the Roosevelt Bridge is falling down. The Congress of the United States, my good Republican colleagues, are doing something which is really unforgivable. We have invested in infrastructure which made us the leader of the world. The notion of letting that go away and having to start from scratch for a lot more money would be unforgivable. But that's what's happening. If you go 10 years and you put the same amount of money for your infrastructure that you did 10 years ago, you don't give a deck. You fill in the blanks.
Talking with Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton. We'll take a quick break here. We're back with more right after this.